Off the checklist, rip, pack, and slab. Who do you collect? Who do you collect? Huh? Who do you collect? Who do you collect?
Go.
Who do you collect? Who do you collect?
Huh?
Who do you collect? Who do you collect?
Go.
Is it rookies? Is it vets in your set? Man, my prism dripping water, that shit wet. And my auto get a 10, that's a bet. I might go and sell a slab. Hey.
I pull hits like
Kobe with the fadeaway.
You can't hit for retail.
You had no luck today.
Take the odds to make the best play. Trying to figure.
Let's see the best way.
Fuck it, I'll buy the lot,
but gotta check my chase.
Bring the hobby to life
With these words we illustrate.
We can conversate,
but money's gotta be the base. But the history can't be erased. You gotta sit and wait.
I don't want optics if the rookies aren't rated. Too populated, value rise
when authenticated.
Like it's segregation. My PC just because he Haitian. How the products narrated. Kicked out the club was throwing slabs just for demonstration. All from buying low and staying patient.
Who do you collect? Who do you collect? Hey, back at it again. Another episode, another show. Rip, pack, and slabs off the checklist. We have an amazing gentleman here, and I'm not just talking about Slabby Sosa to the right of me, maybe to the left of you. I don't know what the configuration is looking like on the tubers, but we here. It's a blessing. We have a gentleman, the sports card collector. I'm not sure how many people follow him or are in the know of what he does, specifically the value he adds to the hobby. But I met this gentleman maybe a few months ago via the hobby, of course, and we built a relationship, found out that we had a lot of common things, a lot of similarities. We're both educators in our respective fields. And we both collect cards, and the way he tells stories on cards and the way he gives these cards value outside of monetary value is really what attracts me to him. Other than his energy, he's a father, he's a husband, he's an educator, he's an historian. It's a lot of words, a lot of trigger words. If Slabby knows me best, those are the words that always gonna pull me in. So without further ado, we're gonna bring him in one time for the one time. What's going on? The sports card collector.
What's going on, brother? Happy New Year, man. Happy early New Year. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for making the time.
It's an honor, man.
Thank you for making the time.
This is my first quote-unquote interview, so I'm happy to be doing it with you, man.
It's overdue, and I apologize for that. On us, we should have had the platform up and rolling, so people like you and many other people can share your story. You know what I mean? Yeah. So many other people want to hear it, and there's people who don't know they need to hear it. You know, you don't know whose life you can change just by hearing something, seeing a smile. You know, everybody's not going to relate to what we do or what someone else does, but that's why we want to share our platform. So we'll say sorry for not bringing you on earlier, for not having a platform earlier so you can share your story, but we're happy to have you on. All the guests we've had on this week, we started this, I think, yesterday or the day before yesterday. We've had about 4 or 5 guests on, and everybody's made time to do this right away. It's the New Year's, the holiday, and y'all still found the time to make time to put value in this. So we appreciate y'all. We know y'all got wives and kids like the rest of us. You know, we had to get our permission slip signed too. It's not like we could just do what we want when we want.
You know you got that right.
You got to get a permission slip signed even though you're not leaving the house, right? I'm just going to the garage.
Yep. I'm in my lab right now. I'm in my basement right now. So this is where I keep my, this is where I do my work, man. Just think of just different ways to explore the hobby experience, man, and organize cards, look at cards, build sets, and take pictures. And this is where all the creativity happens, man. So like right behind me, I got just everything, man. Yeah, like
variety too. Variety.
I love the black tux.
Yeah. This is a big like if I had my phone, I'll show you everything. But
I see you got a lot of vintage too.
Yeah, I'm a true collector in every sense of the word, man. Like when I was collecting in the 90s, what they call like the junk wax era, like the kids in my neighborhood, you know, we was all black and brown, and we all collected cards. You know what I mean? Before like
What
light.
neighborhood was this? Paint the picture for us. What neighborhood around what year was
We're
this?
going back to North Philly, early '90s, North Philadelphia.
In North Philadelphia, born and raised. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Six in Oxford, Letlow Elementary School, Penn Treaty Middle School, Daniel Boone Middle School. When I got in trouble and kicked out of school, and I got sent to a disciplinarian school. So, you know, just different kids from different neighborhoods who collected, and you know, we used to hear stories about vintage cards. You know what I mean? And the old timers who did collect back in the day told those stories, but we never had the chance to really see them. And I still remember the first vintage card I ever seen. It was a Hank Aaron card. It was I believe it was a 1968. I wrote a hobby blog about it when I shared my Ted Williams cards. And that was the first vintage card I ever seen. And I fell in love. And my next door neighbor, his name was Josh Perez. He was a Puerto Rican kid. And his family adopted my best friend who I was growing up with. His name was Gillis, and we used to collect cards. And one day he just like showed me his collection, like on a random, and up in his room, and he just showed me the Hank Aaron card, and I fell in love with vintage cards ever since. And when I walked away from the hobby, I still remember when I was like 13 years old, and life happened, and I had to grow up fast, and I like packed all my cards up in a box, and I threw them in the trash. And I told myself, I said, man, if I ever got back in a hobby, I'm just going to experience and give it my all. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to do it now. And, you know, I'm thankful for this global pandemic that we went through because, you know, it gave me an opportunity to really explore my passions and do some of the things that I've always wanted to do. And getting back into the hobby and collecting cards was one of them, man. And yeah, vintage is like, that's my go-to. Like I love modern cards. I love the shiny things, but it's something about looking at like a 1970, you know, Topps NBA card, you know what I mean, or old school baseball card, or like you get your hands on something from like the 50s. Like my pride and joy is like my 54 Jackie Robinson. Beautiful card. His first card where they really like showed his face besides like all the artist cards from his early cards. And, you know, like that's my pride and joy right there. So vintage, that's where my heart is at. You know what I mean? But I still love my era because I'm a product of the wax era. You know what I mean? The junk wax era.
Product.
So like those mass overproduced late 1980s NBA
Yeah.
hoop flare, you know what I mean? Tops. All the overproduced baseball cards, like, you know what I mean? Like that's what my heart is. So like, you know, when I hear people frown upon that, like some of my greatest memories is from cards like that. You know what I mean? Like I still got my binders right behind me, man. Like all my binders, man.
There you go.
So
Right there. Here we go.
yeah, man. Yes, that's how my drawers are right there. If you look, see that? You see
Oh
that?
man. Oh
Yeah.
man.
So like, I mean that's there's days I come down here just to like decompress after, you know, a long day at work being a black male educator, and I just look
Yeah.
at my cards, man, and yeah, it brings joy, man. It brings a. Sometimes my wife don't understand. She's like, "What do you get out of this?" I said, "It's a nostalgia that sometimes you can't put words to, and you just gotta breathe it, you gotta feel it, and you gotta be in it to just experience it. And each card is connected to a memory. It's connected to a story. Helps me explore, you know, trauma.
Man,
Heal
talk about
from
it.
it. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like, you know, I just enjoy this, man, and that's why I do what I do, and that's why I when I got back into the hobby, I was like, I'm gonna make a ton of money. I'm gonna sell cards, and that it wasn't flowing with me. It wasn't like I'm like, this ain't me. Like that's not who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
help people. I give back. And then I started to think about like, why did I collect? Like, what was it all about? And, you know, I wrote that today when I shared my post. because this year I gave away over 2,000 cards free, man. And I'm talking about not like no like throwaway cards, like some legit like
Right.
cards.
I seen you. I seen you. Yeah.
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 And I just thought about all those things that was real for me, the connections, the laughter, the joy of collecting. And I was like, this is the experience. And that's what I just try to promote. I just try to stay
Ooh.
authentic, be my authentic self as a Black collector, connecting with everybody from all different walks of life, but just being who I am as a collector. And it's fun, man. It's enjoyable. So,
The joy of collecting. I like that. I
yeah,
like that you said that. That's a good one right there. Somebody gonna
yeah,
take that and run with it and start
yeah,
a docu series. That's a
yeah.
good one right there.
I
That's a
mean,
song.
that's
Hey
what it's
Sam,
all about.
hey Sam, I wanted to run it back real quick. You had said something, and I wanted to kind of dive in a little bit. You had said when you were 13,
Yeah,
you threw all your cards away in a bag, right? And right
yeah,
now you're an educator, so like I know, and Slabby's a father of three. Anybody who has children can understand. If they didn't know, after I say it, you better know that children go through more emotions and feelings in
yeah,
adult to a daily basis, and they don't know how to cope with them. Right, a
yeah,
lot of them don't know how to cope with them. A lot of adults don't know how to cope. So imagine
yeah,
children going through all these emotions and these feelings, right? And then you talked about how the wax or the cards is like therapy. It helps you through trauma
yeah,
today. What kind of emotions and feelings were you feeling at 13 when what made you, you know what I mean? Can you talk a little bit more about that at 13, throwing all those cards away? Because everybody we've had on the show, everybody had that time period in their life where they put the
yeah,
cards away for whatever reason. You know what I
yeah,
mean? For me, it just wasn't cool to the people I hung out with, plain out
yeah,
and simple. And
yeah,
people used to steal from me. So I
yeah,
didn't trust them, you know what I mean? But for
yeah.
you, what was it? Why did you throw them away?
It was a real sadness, man, and like probably weeks previous, I saw my father get taken away from me in handcuffs, um, and not knowing the why behind it, and then eventually finding out the why behind it, and just all the anger and all the pain and the loneliness, and knowing that like I'm at a point in my life, right? I can't be a kid no more. Like I got to grow up. You know what I
At
mean?
13, you're
Like
thinking this at 13.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Wow,
Like I got to
man,
grow up, and
man.
and it was like I got to be the protector. I got to be the one who like be there for everyone and the family, and it was one of those things. Like I still remember it clear as day, man. Like walking outside of my house, like in the winter time, packing everything up in a shoebox, and this is it. Like, and it was one of those things that you never really get over. You never really get over, and you kind of like pack it away in the back of your mind. But it was weird because what was weird about the whole experience, like letting that go, like years later, I'm in prep school in Connecticut, living in Connecticut, and my roommate at the time, he handed me like a binder of cards. He was like, "Yo, these for you. You can keep them." And like, I'm just like flipping through them. It's like he organized it like sets. He had like a rookie Calvin Murphy, um, Penny Hardaway's, Jason Kidd's, like Michael Jordan, like all those great like '90s players. And
Right.
like I kept it. Like for some reason I
Mm.
kept it. Like I kept it all throughout college, all throughout graduate school, had it stored in my mom's house, and like never got rid of it. And like the pandemic hit, like everything shut down. I'm sitting at home, and like I pull them out because like before the pandemic happened, like I think this was like 20 right before it was my daughter's first Christmas, Skylar's first Christmas. I go shopping at like this old thrift store, like this old antique store, and I'm looking for like a coffee table that I want to like repaint and like fix up. And I see this old like 1985 like Quaker Oats baseball card just sitting
Mhm.
on the table. And I asked the guy, I was like, how much you selling this for? And he was like, oh, $1. And then I open up the drawer inside the little coffee table. There's nothing but these like 92, 93 Don Russ packs sitting in there. I'm like, you selling these packs too? He's like, yeah. And he sold each pack for me for $1. And I just like packed them away in my closet for like a couple of years. And then, excuse me, the pandemic hit, and I just like opened them up. I'm talking like Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Darren Dalton, like all those memories. Like, all right, I got to get back into this. And from there, I just like got back in a hobby, started like buying cards and looking at different cards. But and then I had this notion like, yeah, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna make money off the hobby. And it just wasn't feeling right. And I always go back to like those moments, like when I threw away cards, when I received cards, and it made me think about like this person gave it to me because he wanted to pass them on to me, and it wasn't about making money. It was about like these are yours. I want you to have it, and that's just the mindset I have. And I've always had that mindset, like always giving back and always sharing. And that's what I do as an educator. And that's what I do now. But to answer your question, it was just the pain, man, and knowing that I couldn't be a kid anymore. And sometimes I felt like, that was stolen from me. But now I get to be a kid now. And I get, you know what I mean? And I get to show my daughter like the joy of like what it means to like collect something and take pride in something. And she has her own little cards, like Pokemon cards and like Batman cards. She loved Michael Jackson. I bought her these old like Topps Michael Jackson cards, and she has them in top loaders. And she go through her moments when like she wants to look at them and show them off. So
That's dope.
I just enjoy it, man.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that you say that at 13 you felt like these cards like were childish. You had to get rid of them to move on to adulthood.
Yeah.
But now that you're older, you're bringing the cards back into your life so you could kind of relive the childhood. So that just shows you like, these cards, and which is personally why I think that the true value of these cards, why they're so valuable, is because the emotions that they do bring out of us, because they do bring out that nostalgic feeling, that whatever feeling that was when you were a child that made you happy. I truly feel like that's why these cards are being held at such a high value, because people like us are getting older and we're looking to chase back, that nostalgic feeling. So these cards, you know what I'm saying, are the perfect like all those memories you said about those cards. For me, like being with him, ripping packs with him, and then tossing the card like it's nothing, pulling a rookie Jordan and just toss, you know what I'm saying? Like, like that's a beautiful feeling, just to go back to that feeling. And it's crazy that these cards can do that. It's like a time machine.
Yeah. It was interesting. Like, I always think back to what the old heads would say to me, like, I'll rip open a pack of cards and be like, yo, make sure you take care of that and stash it away. It's going to be worth something. And like, that's why when I got back in the hobby, I had that mindset like, oh, I want to make money. But then I thought about like, when I was collecting, I didn't really see no money off cards. Like we heard about that, but that wasn't like our drive of like, oh, I got this card. Let me hide it. Like,
we
I
wanted to
still
collect
remember
every single card and double of it.
like my favorite Jordan card was the Flair League Leaders, the one with the silver background, and he's shooting a jump shot. And I remember my neighborhood when that Flair pack came out, everybody wanted that Jordan card. And I recently just got that card, right? And it was like, oh, hold this card. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, nah, this is like something I want to like show off. You know what I mean? Like there was no like, oh, I'm gonna make $1 million off this card. Nah, it was just the joy of being like one of 6 kids in my neighborhood who got the Flair MJ story. You know what I mean? So it was just a dope time to collect and like just reliving those things and sharing them with people in the hobby. Talking to people at card shows, meeting thorough people like you. You guys just makes me feel like I'm on the right path. And I'm doing the right thing. So
I got a Jordan story, and I don't know. Slab was definitely too young to remember this, and I don't think I've ever told this story before. I'm 38. I was born in '83, but
yeah,
we have older cousins who are like brothers to us because we literally, you know how it go. You bathe together, you sleep in the same bed. Your cousin, your brother, sister for certain periods and areas in your life, right? So, oh, there it go. I remember having that card. There
this
it
this
go.
was this was the card in my neighborhood, man. This was the one that everybody wanted. Like
That's the
this is
one.
the one we all like. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man.
That's
It's
crazy. So I remember I had to be maybe 6 or 7 years old or 8 years old. So we're thinking maybe 1989, 90. We had older cousins, right? One of our auntie house in Oakland, and our oldest cousin Mac used to collect cards back in the day. And in the basement and in his closet, he was a Detroit Pistons fan.
yeah,
So when he collected cards, all of the Bulls cards, rookie cards, and everything were just scattered on the ground. And like you said, this is the junk wax era. So we're looking at him like we're of course there's another Jordan rookie. We're gonna see these cards again. They're not gonna be
yeah,
worth more than the penny, less than the penny that they are now. You know what I mean? The 7-Eleven was literally right down the street. You can go get a pack and pull one anytime we wanted to. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So, and the local card shop wasn't too far away either. And we were privileged in our own right to be able to, you know what I'm saying, get there and make that happen. You know what I mean? So that was a blessing in itself, but just crazy how we had these cards in excess, and we didn't know the value wasn't necessarily in, because at the time there were people who were placing value, monetary value in cards,
oh,
right?
of
There were older
course.
people who knew how to invest and how to hustle and how to make that flip, right? Which is all
But
part
a
of
lot
the
of those
hobby.
people didn't look like us, right?
They
Like
didn't. They didn't.
like
They
in
didn't.
the era before like grading, like I didn't know what a graded card was like when that stuff first came out in the 90s. And like yeah, I knew white kids who collected when I was at Penn Treaty, but like they wasn't in our circle. They wasn't like having those conversations that we having now. Like the kids in my neighborhood, when we talked about cards, like it was the thrill of like, yo, you got that new Jordan, let's trade. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what we did. It was like hand-to-hand exchanges of like trading. You know what I mean? Like we would show up on a little block on Bavaria Street. You know what I mean? Or go back to the project somewhere and be like, all right, let's trade these cards. You know what I mean? We wasn't going to card stores. Like I still remember getting cards from like the time we could go to Toys R Us, when like Toys R Us was like the main person who sold cards. You know what I mean? They had
Yep.
the whole thing like gated off and blocked off, and you got your one
Yep.
pack. Your mom be like, all right, you can get your one pack this week. You know what I mean? Like, and we made it work. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man, I feel you, bro. I definitely feel you, man.
Yeah, no, for real, for real. It's just crazy looking at it now. And but you always do a good job on your page of taking it back to the value of the card and what it means to you, and even more so than that, what it meant to the time period, right? Because
Yeah,
sometimes these cards are like timestamps, not only for us in our lives, but real life history. What was going
yeah,
on during that time for all of us? We all had to
yeah.
live through some of those years, right? And that's the type of nostalgia it brings up.
Like I remember one time, and I think you like this too. I did a hobby vlog on Pooh Richardson, right? Most people don't
Yeah.
know who Pooh.
Pooh Rich.
Some people know who Pooh Richardson is if you like
It-
follow Philly basketball, watched him at UCLA when he played for the Clippers and everything. Like, but I know Pooh Richardson. Like, I was a baby because him and my uncle was the best power forward in the country in the 80s, and they were teammates. So like we talking about like guys like Hank Gathers, Bo Kimmel, all those guys. Like those guys were in my house. Like I used to watch those guys as a baby go at it on at 23rd and Diamond, Moreland's
right.
Recreation Center. Like, you know, like so like I got like moments with these guys as a kid and like seeing them and to like have their card down, be able to go back in my memory bank and understand those like moments I had as a baby, like watching them in like historic games as like a baby, you know what I mean? Like 3 years old, 4 years old, like being there, being present there, and them saying like, yo, Bill, your nephew gonna be tall. Like I'm 6'6", and I played basketball, I played in college, you know what I mean? So it's like being able to like get these cards and like, or like a Rex Chapman card who my uncle played against when he was in college and when he's playing against Hawaii. Like Kentucky was the number 1 team in the country, and he played them on national television. You know what I mean? And he scored the first couple of buckets of the game. So like that's my like 6 degrees of like separation with a lot of people. You know what I mean? So I like to take a deeper dive into it, man, and just explore like all those moments, man, and that's what makes it real for me. And it's just another story I can tell, my kids, my students, and just connect with like people in the hobby. Like I got this card at the Philly show, right? I don't care about like the damage, right?
Right.
But like my mom worked with Wilt Chamberlain's sister. You know what I mean? Like in schools, they were like assistants, teacher assistants. And like Wilt Chamberlain's sister, like when I was in college, was like in my house telling me stories about I'm not making this up. This is a true story. In my house, 531 West Oxford Street, telling stories about her brother. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I got this like quote unquote Wilt Chamberlain rookie card that's authentic and real, but like I have a personal memory behind it because I was told I learned personal stories about Wilt Chamberlain through his sister. You know what I mean? So like, that's the side of the hobby that I think is so untapped. And like we living in this era right now where people, like to tell stories, and that's content, that's intellectual property, and I just think that needs to be explored more, and I think more value needs to be put into that. So
I agree 10,000%. We've been huge on that ever since we've been trying to intentionally be more vocal in the hobby and highlight areas that don't necessarily we don't see getting a lot of shine. Not to say they don't get shine, but we don't see them getting shine where we're looking, right? So that's been something that we've always tried to say is the story behind it. There's a James Harden card, a mosaic James Harden card from I believe 2019-20, where he's in his MVP suit, where he's wearing that camo suit. And there's actually a black lady who designed that suit. You know what I mean? Who was his stylist. She also styles PJ Tucker and Serena Williams. You know what I mean? And that right there is an educator. Telling you're an athlete. I played college ball too. Not everybody gets to play college ball or professional ball. Not everybody gets to play varsity ball, freshman ball, JV ball. You know what I mean? So not everybody gets to experience that. But when you can pull out a card and you can tell a little girl in the class or a little boy in the class, you don't got to ever pick up the ball to be a part of this, to add value to this, or to make an impact in the game or in anything in life. You know what I mean? You have the skill sets and the tools already in you, or you can learn whatever you want to learn to be able to add value where you want to. So I think that's one dope part about you, like you highlighted, telling the stories behind the card and behind the people and behind the collectors as well too. There's a lot of people who I admire in the hobby too, who do a great job of allowing collectors to tell their stories and why the card means something special to them, because in that way allows other people to look and find their own reason to love and like and place value in cards, whether it be monetary or not. Everything that's in the hobby is valuable because it's in there. It's all part of the culture, whether we like it, agree with it. It's if it's in the hobby, it's in us too. A lot of people may not want to swallow that pill, but if it's in the hobby, it's in you too. May not act on it. We may not act on all these things, but we're all capable of doing the same exact thing. So no one is better than other, right? We just all make decisions and choose to collect a certain way, choose to love a certain way, choose, you know what I mean? But one thing about the hobby is it's more times than not, once you're in a community, it's a loving and engaging community.
And I mean, and that was again, like I'm gonna harp on this. Like, that was our culture growing up in my neighborhood in North Philly when we collected. We wasn't making money. It was the experience.
Right.
Like, it was like connecting with kids from like a different zip code or a different, you know what I mean? And like seeing a collection and trying to trade and you know, have those exchanges with them. And, you know, at the time, like, yeah, being a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, you don't really understand the depth of that, but you more like in the moment. And now, like, you know, years later, being a, you know, an adult male who's educated and working as an educator, like, I explore those moments and really understand what it was all about and what it is. And that's what that's what I really want to share with people. That's why there's moments, excuse me, where I go to like just random local hobby stores where I've established relationships with the owners, and we just talk about nothing but sports cards. And most of the times, like, I don't even spend a dime in their store, but they like happy to see me when I walk through the door because they know we're gonna have a dope conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then they might just hand me a card, be like, "Here, take that. That's for you." You know what I mean? And I personally, like, that's what I value at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That human capital that sometimes we like take for granted. And that's why I always tell people, especially, and again, no disrespect to people who are flippers. Make your money.
Right.
Get your
Facts.
dough for
Get
real.
your dough for
Get your
real.
money.
Get it.
No disrespect to people who are investors. Make your money. But if that transaction you're creating with me is a one-way street, you never gonna see me again.
Facts.
But if that transaction between you and I is a two-way street, the money's gonna be fruitful. The experience is gonna be plentiful. And that's why I think a lot of people are missing. And that's why I don't connect with a lot of flippers and a lot of investors. And I've also met some dope ones. And that's why I don't mind spending my money with them if they got something I like. You know what I mean? Because I know I can always go back to them, or it'd be like, "Nah, Sam, this for you. You don't gotta give me that." I'm like, "What?" You know what I mean? So that's why I think people should really focus on in this, because we focus on the human capital, we could really sustain this hobby. Because eventually, like, I don't mean to like get on my high horse, but eventually, like, all the people
Right.
spending money now,
Get up. It's a for
eventually all the people who spending money now, they're gonna walk away. They're gonna leave eventually. They're gonna get bored because they don't have that human capital experience. They just see it as something, oh, I can make this paper now. And again, like, I'm not knocking you, make your paper. Do what you need to do to come up.
Facts.
And I encourage you to think about the human capital, because that's what it values at.
Yeah.
And I think more needs to be placed on that. And that's why when I collect, man, there's days I like sit in my lab and I really like write. Like, I write. Like, I think about the stories, I think about the experiences. I think about like what I go through. Like right now, I'm building my '86 Flair Premiere set, like, from scratch. And like most people, like, how much money you put in that? Like, to be honest, I probably got like $200 into it. Most of the people I connected with, they gave me cards because they appreciate the value, they appreciate the connection. Like, I had this random dude hit me up on Instagram, was like, "Yo, I want to send you 20 Flair Premiere 1986 cards." I'm like, "What? Like, for what?" I was like, "Can I pay you?" He's like, "No." He's like, "You're just a thorough person, and I appreciate what you're doing." And like, something that started off me buying a few cards led into me, like, now I'm building a set where I'm at like 83 of the 132, and I got 4 of the 11 sticker cards. And most people like, "No, you had to spend thousands." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." You know what I mean? And it's just, I'm just a believer in human capital because that's what we do every day as educators, man. We pour into
Exactly.
kids. We plant seeds, because kids are soil and they're not concrete. And you know, even though we won't see a lot of things come to fruition, is just that we are authentic in what we give to people, and that's what matters. That's what matters the most.
It is, and you that human capital that's big. When that's something, man. It sounds like hearing you speak sounds like
You speaking.
it's yeah. It's like we've had these conversations, or the same things you've said. Trust me, Sam. Rip, Pack, and Slap. All three of us have had these same
Yeah,
conversations and talked about the same thing, especially investing in the person. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's so undervalued in the hobby, but at the same time, if you open your eyes, if you're looking, it's the people at the top are starting to put value in certain people and people who deserve it too. Well deserving.
yeah.
People are
Most
getting
definitely.
signed in the hobby like it's free agent time in the
Yeah,
NBA. And I love
yeah,
it. And I
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
And I love it, right? So they're starting to see the value, if not for them or for the person, for whatever reason, the value is good for the hobby. It's for all of us. When one thing happens good for one person in the hobby, it's a reflection on all of us. That's whether you like it or not. That's one thing we have to agree, right? One thing we have to swallow that pill.
yeah.
So, but
And
I
again, like
uh-huh.
I go back to like I grew up in the roughest neighborhood in North Philly, right? Um, and and yeah, like at times I think about like I turned 38 this year, and I think about there was three occasions in my life where like I shouldn't be sitting here right.
Yeah.
But coming up as a kid before being pushed into a world where I had to grow up fast, like everything you talked about or you guys talk about on a daily, like that was our hobby experience, right? That was our culture. That's what that's what we did as kids.
Yeah.
Like when we left Letlow Elementary School and our world of collecting cards grew a little bit bigger, it was the human capital at the cafeteria of Penn Treaty or Daniel Boone where kids are coming to the table with cards.
Yeah.
Right? Black kids, white kids, kids from McKinley neighborhood, kids from Fishtown, like, and we wasn't like throwing money at each other like I want to buy that card. Like, all right, you got the silver Jordan. What you want for it? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So like that's what we did. And those moments were fruitful for us, and most of the times, you can talk somebody out of a card. Sometimes you couldn't. Sometimes you walked away with more than you barked for. Like when I was collecting, like, yeah, I chased Jordan, but like Moses Malone, like the tops Moses Malone cards were my Moses Malone was my man. You know what I mean? Because I learned stories about him when he came to Philly and won us the championship in '82 and '83, and like that's the person I was chasing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we all love MJ and we was all Bulls fans because that was a part of the like psychology at the time. Like everybody wanted to be like Mike. And like we was all Bulls fans from like the first three-peat, second three-peat, but like I was chasing those random players, like those old school players who were still around in the late 80s and early 90s. And you can see like their work. You know what I mean? When you look at the back of their
Right.
car from their very first year, they averages and everything, because like that's what we place our value in. Like, yo, he averaged 20 points.
Yeah.
Right.
Like those, like that was our experience. Like, you know what I mean? And like now, like everybody wants like the banging picture. Like we went beyond the picture. Like, yeah, we would gloss over like a card like this, but I'm looking at the back, like his
You got to
average.
know the
Right.
stats. You got to know.
You know
That's
what
how
I
you know
mean?
who
Like,
better. That's like, yeah, that's like the ratings in the video game before
yeah,
we had
that's
ratings in the video game. I had a
that,
teacher. I had a sixth grade teacher who would give us extra credit for looking at certain stuff on the back of cards, and it was actually Miss New Rider, I think. It wasn't meant to. It was New Rider, and she used to make us like just on averaging stats out and seeing who was the better player. You know, she'd mark out the totals on the bottom of the card and just give us the other stats and have us break it down and give me and my god brother extra credit for stuff like that. You know what I mean? Hey, but I'll tell you this: you said everybody was a Jordan fan. You're sitting in front of two people. We respected Jordan growing up, but we weren't Jordan fans. I don't think we ever had a Jordan jersey growing up. I was
I did.
Okay, he did. Well, you had all the jerseys. Yeah, he used to dress up and play Nerf hoop against himself, 1v1, 5-on-5, just him.
I'll put the microwave. I'll set the microwave on 12 minutes. I'll get a pen and pad. I'll real life have a 5-on-5 game in a doorway.
48 minutes. 48 minutes long, just him.
We used to cut the milk carts out, put them to a tree or a pole, find any like piece of wood that would be our backboard. Yeah. And I'm saying, like, there was dudes in my neighborhood who could make a shot anywhere off a crate. It'd be all net. You know what I mean? So like that's what we did. Man.
And a crate is smaller than a hoop too.
Yeah.
So you gotta have Jimmy. You gotta have shot.
Yes. Like, you know what I mean? But like all this stuff, it stemmed from collecting pieces of cardboard, man. Like those were the things we did. Like we wanted to emulate those moves off the cards, but like there was an education to it because we went beyond what was on the front of the card. You know what I mean? We explored the back of the card. We wanted to learn about these people's like lives, where they was from, and you know what I mean? Like it'd be cool to like collect a card and like, oh man, this person was from Philly. He grew up in my neighborhood. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but let's paint the picture for him. See, when we used to want to dive in and learn more about these people, I would read the back of the card, right, Sam? Right, bro? And then I'd run over to the encyclopedias that mom's got us, and I'd pull out the encyclopedia and figure out where that country was or where, you know what I mean? We didn't have no online. I couldn't run to the internet and find out every question I had in my head. I actually had to dig for it. I couldn't just type it in the internet and somebody did it for me. It was crazy. We had Spitfire on a couple of days ago, and he said he used to actually go to the library. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Excuse me. When he wanted to learn more about the stuff on the back of the cards and things like that. So just think about the measures we had to go through, you know what I mean, in order to learn about the back of the card. And now I don't know, it just feels like the back of the card is so undervalued now, or just
it's
like, nothing now.
But now they don't even put the same stuff on the back of the card like they used to. You don't see their whole body of work.
There's no stats on the back like that.
Years, you know what I mean? Like, and like that was the joy of like collecting cards, you know what I mean? But and then it also like influenced our culture, because I remember in the 90s when like college basketball, like Larry Johnson and all them, when they beat Duke and all that, like in our neighborhood, we was wearing UNLV stuff. Yeah, like we was wearing like the UNLV t-shirts, the hats, the sweatshirts. You know what I mean? Like we was wearing that gear, and it was all because like we seen these 4 black dudes, 5 black dudes who look like us,
having fun out there,
play ball like us, and they destroyed quote unquote America's team. You know what I mean? Like nobody wanted to wear like a Duke uniform because like, I mean, even though they had Grant Hill and Christian Laettner, but we wanted to be a running rebel. You know what I mean? Like, so like that was the joy of like collecting cards and learning about these players. Even like Georgetown, like we was wearing Georgetown stuff because Patrick Ewing, he played for Georgetown. Lonzo Mourning played for Georgetown. Then when AI came, like that stuff influenced, like, and it was all because of cards. Cards was that connector, you know what I mean? And that's why as kids, even though we couldn't understand it or rationalize it, like now I can, that human capital was powerful for us, man.
It was huge. And it, like you said, it was culture, and it extended and crossed over into so many different borders of culture. If you look at shoes or fashion, you know what I mean? That was heavy. I'm just thinking about Anthony Hardaway. How big
Right.
was he to just all parts of culture? If you look at the game of basketball, you look
Yeah.
at shoes, you look at music and Little Penny and how many features Little Penny had on music
Albums.
videos and
Right.
albums
Right.
and just how that branched so many other things that we've seen in the past 20, 30 years, right? It's just crazy how we haven't seen a lot of Ken Griffey Jr. Like right now, our athletes in the 90s were larger than life. Yeah, look at that penny. Oh my
That's
gosh.
beautiful.
Athletes in the 90s were larger than life because they made them that way. They were on commercials, they were in videos, they were everywhere. What's that from? Is that
It's the 90, the 96 tops, John.
It's dancing.
It's dancing. It's dancing with no disco. Hey.
I got man. I got. Let me. Can I show y'all some cards?
Please
Hell
do.
yeah.
Please do.
Let me see.
I always forget to ask people to share some more cards because that
Yeah.
I want to see them. That's what we all like. All right, what you got over there?
So like, here's how like collecting cards. You also had the opportunity to like break down barriers, right? And like going to Penn Treaty, right, which was in predominantly like white neighborhood in Fishtown. You know, we started to explore other things, like learn about hockey and all that. Like, so like, here's like an '86 Wayne Gretzky card. You know what I mean? Like, we called him like the MJ of hockey. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Arguably the greatest athlete of
We
all
started,
time.
we started collecting stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so to have something like this and my PC also brings back those memories of like collecting hockey cards. Like, this is what we did as like black kids, even though we couldn't afford hockey or play it, but we collected these cards because like
Rumor has it up there where you at way back in the day, way back in the day. That's how hockey may have been created. There are some people
like
that believe a bunch of black people who couldn't afford things created a game on ice called hockey. You know what I'm saying? That's just rumors. I know one thing to be fact. The slap shot was created by a black man. You know what I'm saying?
There's a book called I think it's called The Color of Ice.
Or Soul on Ice. Soul on Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it talks about all like former slaves who went through the Underground Railroad.
Yep, to
And
Nova
they ended up
Scotia.
in Canada.
Canada, yeah.
And they were like they became like these premier like top hockey players, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like in Philly, like hockey is a culture, right? Like Philly's a blue collar city. So like we were the Broad Street Bullies, you know what I mean? So like there was a time period in like the late 70s, early 80s where like Philadelphia was like a sports town because like the Flyers were going to the Stanley Cup, the Sixers was going to the finals, the Phillies was playing for the World Series, and the Eagles made it to a Super Bowl. So you know what I mean? Like we collected hockey cards, you know, and it was one of the things that like we you know we jumped into and we got into in our neighborhood. So you know once we learned about the sport, you know we having conversations about like Eric Lindros and like Ron Hackman and all those guys and like collecting their cards and getting our hands on these cards and like Penn Treaty was that melting pot. Even though everything outside of Penn Treaty was like crazy because the neighborhood was suspect because there was a time when people who didn't look like us, they didn't want us there. But at the end of the day, like cards was that connector that brought us together with kids who didn't look like us. And, you know, we're sitting at the lunch table and having these conversations and trading cards like this and being put on the cards like this, what I normally wouldn't collect. You know what I mean?
That's why your story is so valuable though, because like we were saying, like if I'm a kid nowadays looking at the hobby, whoo, that's that grill right there. That's the yeah. If I'm a kid right now looking at the hobby and all I see is monetary, like if I'm a kid that doesn't have any money, there's no way I'm going to even look towards the hobby because I don't have the money to compete. But then when I hear your stories, you know, and I hear you say that the value's not in the money, the value's in the memories and the stories and the feeling of the card.
Yep.
That brings more people into the hobby, you know? where the monetary is going to deter people away. When you say no, the values in the feelings of these cars, it's going to bring people into the hobby, which is dope. You know, like you said, that's the real value of the hobby. Man.
Roberto Clemente insert. I got some dope stuff, man. I got some dope stuff. But I only collect basketball and baseball cards and hockey.
Okay.
I kind of like have like a silent protest with football because of everything that went down over some years with like Colin Kaepernick and just some things that was said, and I was like, I ain't collecting football cards.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Right.
I don't blame you. They don't get no love from me.
Ooh, I'll tell you a story about that card. It was 2013-14. There was a Topps Chrome PSA. It was a Kobe PSA 9 or 10, and then it was a Jason Kidd rookie card, Topps Finest. Refractor? No, it was just a plain. It wasn't even wasn't even a refractor, just a regular Topps Finest. It had the coating on it still. Ooh, Julius. And I had the opportunity to I had $200. They were both $200 each at the time, or $100, $200, something like that. And I went with the Jason Kidd because I'm from the Bay and I got to watch him play growing up. So I bought the Jason Kidd. I'm like, I'll get the Kobe next time. I'll get the Kobe next time.
Speaking of like two dudes from the Bay.
There you go. See, I was a Seattle Sonic fan, so I wasn't a Jordan fan. He was a Houston Rocket fan, so we liked Jordan, but I thought Jordan was going to lose every year because I wanted Seattle to win. You know what I mean? So GP, I didn't get to see GP play growing up. I got to see his brothers play growing up and played with his brothers growing up. But I got to see J Kidd.
You watched Demetrius Hook and all them.
I never got to see Hook in person, but I've heard stories. My mentor played with Hook for sure in high school back then and all that. So I've heard all the stories. That card right there, when Kobe died, the very next day, I gave it away to one of my players on my high school basketball team.
It's probably one of my favorite like basketball cards.
Yeah, I love it.
I gave away all my Kobe rookie cards.
On there. I used to love them cards.
The day after he passed away. You can have them. So what got you into education? I want to touch on that real quick. Why education? And how long have you been in education?
So I've been in education pretty much all my career. This is my 12th year as an educator. I mean, the single moment for me was 8 years old. I'm sitting in the principal's office with my mom. And like, you know, I was a bad kid. I ain't gonna need a front. Like I was a terror. Like, you know, I mean, I had my moments, but I also think I wasn't being challenged enough in school. And you know, I had behavior problems. They tried to label me special ed and all that, but my mom wasn't having it. And I remember the principal was saying, she was like, you know, yes, son, he's bad. You know, he's not going to amount to anything in life. He's going to be dead before he's 18, or he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And like, that's something I carry with me. And like, you know, there was a time when I was like on that path. But I think about that moment, and like when I was in college and everything, like as a student athlete, most people was like, oh, you're a sports management major. And I was like, no, I'm an education major. Like I'm a history major. I was a history major on the team. I was, you know what I mean? And I always thought about that moment and always said, like, I never want kids to experience that. I never want kids to go through that. And you know, that's why I jumped in. That's why I became an educator. Like my first job out of college, I was a 25-year-old principal running a juvenile residential school. I used to be one of those kids in there.
Wow.
So like, it was like full circle for me. Like I was a
I've
kid in
worked in one of
placement.
those. Just I've worked in I don't know if it was a 300 CE or 503,
Yeah,
but I've worked in the juvenile residential at a young age. I'm gonna tell a story about that. How I got checked on my first
yeah,
interview. Go ahead, keep going
yeah.
though.
But like I did that, man, and I did that for about 3 years, and I got like burnt out because I was working with a lot of people who just didn't care about kids. And I told myself, I'm gonna go back to Philly. I'm gonna really ingrain and train and learn and grow. And going back to your original question, like thinking about the people that like I would put on a card.
Yeah, who
Um,
would you put on a trading
for,
card?
for
Who
me,
inspired you?
for me, it would be three people. It would be Mr. Bates when I was at Daniel Boone. He was just black male educator. Like this was like my first experience with black male educators, like being kicked out of a school, sent to a disciplinary school, and like 90% of the teachers in the building was black men.
Ah,
The first time I had
Mm.
people who looked like me who was teaching me, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So if I had to choose three people, it would be Mr. Bates, who's the gym teacher. Um, Actually, I'll do four, and it would be like a logo man, like 101. It'll
Give him
be
a
Mr.
booklet.
Bates. It'll be Mr. Eldridge, who actually played for the New York Knickerbockers back in the day.
Hmm.
And like, I got a cool story about him. Like when we first started our basketball team at Daniel Boone, I made the team, and we was going to play our first game, and I got scared and I didn't go. And I remember him like standing in the gym, begging and pleading with me to go. He was like, "Yo, I believe in you. You can do this." And I was just like, "No, I'm afraid." And I always think back to that moment with him, like how he never gave up on me. He never quit on me, even after that. So it'll be Mr. Eldridge, Mr. Bonds, who was my seventh grade history teacher, who taught me everything, who like got me back into like loving reading again and history again. Taught me everything about like Black history, um, and like who we were before the transatlantic slave trade, and like understanding our true footprint in this world as like people of color and as like Black people. So it'll be Mr. Bonds, and then it'll be um, my mentor Marcus Allen, who took me under my wing when I was 14, 15 years old, like in placement. And he's the CEO, like Big Brothers Big Sisters of America right now. And he's
Okay.
still he been in my life since I was like 15 years old. So it'll be those four people who like I look up to as like educators, as men, as Black men, and like just being like great people. And really, like when you talk about like human capital, like
Yeah.
those four would be the definition of what human capital is, because they they looked at me and they saw my potential, and they didn't give up on me even when I made mistakes. um, and so that would be my like one-on-one, my one-of-one like logo man card, uh, with them four in it.
Man,
Yeah,
I think it's dope. I love it. Like people like you, people like Pete. Like it's crazy because y'all say about who y'all mentors are, right? And it's like I'm pretty sure like y'all in the day to day and y'all dealing with y'all kids. It may be one kid that you don't even interact with a lot that you just may speak to every day.
yeah,
That in 20 years they may be like, man, look, it was because when Mr. Pete used to spit hi to me every day, that
yeah.
made me realize that people are good. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't realize like the impact the smallest human actions can have with these kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's dope just hearing that y'all work with these kids and the stories and the reasons why y'all do it is dope and it's needed. And you know what I'm saying? It's appreciated, man. We need people like y'all.
It'd be random days where like I'll be out shopping, or I just be like out doing something, and I'll run into like a former student. And
Yeah.
they was like, "Yo," they'll just say, "Yo, Mr. Evans, thank you for everything." Or like, even the ones who are like knuckleheads, are like, send me a message on like social media and just like, Mr. Evans, I just want to say thank you. Even though I was like hard headed and didn't listen, like I understand everything you was telling me now. You know what I mean? Like, and these were students like I had some intense moments with, like
I
get
already know what
physical with, because I had to restrain them,
yeah.
or I had to like check them about something. And you know, like that's why I like I'm always going to believe in people. That's why I'm always going to invest in people. And even if I don't see that, excuse me, I got this lingering cough. Even if I don't see that investment come to fruition, in that time that I have with them, I'm leaving it up to hope. I'm leaving it up to chance. I'm leaving it up to fate. Because I've lost some students. You know, I lost some students to senseless violence. I lost some students who made some poor decisions. I lost some students who were just great human beings, and like, man, why they had to go. You know what I mean? And they was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you know, those moments don't discourage me. They keep me grounded. They keep me pushing. They keep me, you know, doing my job. And like, being as though like now I transitioned from working in the inner city to working in the suburbs, where there are a lot of black and brown kids who needed someone who looked like me so they can have that mirror to look at. But I'm also being an instrument in the lives of like students, non-students of color, because now they can see someone who don't look like them, and they understand, like,
They don't have to get it from the TV or from
yeah, they
Instagram.
don't
They
have to
can
get
see
it
it
from
in
the
person.
TV. So they I don't want to say they have a glimpse of like black excellence, but they have a glimpse
That's
of
exactly
like,
what it is. That's exactly what it is. If you don't want to
well,
say it, I'll say
but
it for you. It is
I
black.
also, yeah,
It
but I
is
also
black
think
excellence.
it is, and I also think it's also getting them to see the humanity of blackness, because I think for a lot of them, um, some is taught and learned, but I think a lot of them is just ignorance because they just don't know.
They don't know.
That they have this thought or this perception about what blackness is. Um, like random, like one day I had a bunch of kids come up to me like, "Hey, Mr. Evans, we were having a debate at the table, and we were saying that you don't watch Dragon Ball Z." I was like, "Yeah, I watch Dragon Ball Z," and I started like naming characters and everything. And it's like, "Yo, Mr. Evans, that's dope." I was like, I had a moment in my life where I jumped on some Dragon Ball Z, like, you know, like jumping in, watching those shows and watching the cartoons and everything. But that's the stuff that peels back those layers, and it gets kids to understand that, you know what I mean, we're not a monolith as a people, and we have this spectrum that, and that's what tells the story of our greatness. And going back to Mr. Bonds, like being able to finally like learn the history of my people beyond the story as like slaves, it was so like eye-opening for me to know that, to learn about people like Shaka Zulu, to learn about people like Hannibal or Carthage, and like all these figures who, like, one, I didn't know about, or two, if you do hear about them, there's this like what's the word I'm looking for? There's this like thought of like, nah, they wasn't black, they was white. You know what I mean? But then when you finally learn, like, no, these people look like me. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I enjoy about education, and I just try to like bring those experiences, those things that I go through on a day-to-day basis to the hobby. That's why you see me in some of my my videos with a bow tie on, like in
Talk
my
about that.
office.
That was going to be the next
You know what I
question. I
mean?
actually had that written down. I was going to ask you about your bow ties, how many and why, how many, and also about the hoodies, because I watch your page all the time, and if it's not a bow tie, it's a hoodie. And you know, I keep my hoodie game on point. I'm a real advocate for. I like walking into a room and giving people the wrong impression. I love it. I love walking into a room and they think one thing, and I'm fortunate in my own right to be able to have built built my resume and built up my rapport, you know what I'm saying, to where I can wear a hood to a job interview and I'm gonna get the job because my resume and you know what I mean, it's beyond that now. That's just me. I'm not advising people to do that. Dress up for your interview. You know what I'm saying? But like I tell people, I can't get any blacker. Like I got these tattoos when I was in a corporate job. I can't the way I was treated growing up, I was like, a tattoo can't make it any worse, and it hasn't at all. You know what I'm saying? It's the same exact thing. So, not saying go get tatted. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, now I do have one tattoo, and I woke up one random morning when I was like 27, and I was laying in the bed, and I woke up, and the girl I was talking to at the time, I was like, "Yo, I want to get a tattoo." She was like, "Why?" I was like, "I just want to get a tattoo," and I just got this like basketball with a crown and like my nickname and my number on my arm. I was like, I've been playing basketball all my life, and I finally get a tattoo when I don't even play basketball no more. Like, what the hell? But you know, like, I mean, I think for me, it was like when I was in college, going through my maturation. Like, I used to have braids, big afro, playing basketball, and just like going through that natural maturation of like how I used to dress versus to like how I want to dress, not because I care about how people see me, because
how it makes you feel though.
It was more like growth, you know what I mean? Like just trying different things, and then you know, being someone who like you know, you watch movies like Hoodlum, and you see how like those black men dress like back in the day, and like, damn, I wonder how I look with a bow tie on. And like, I mean, like it just became this thing when I came back to Philly working as an educator. I just wanted to give my boys, my black boys and my black and brown boys, a different twist about like you can like different things.
Right.
And you can show your swag in so many ways. You know what I mean? Like you don't and like be urban, dress urban, whatever that means. Like who cares? But like you could still like dress up and look thorough and have some swag. And I remember like being in West Philly at Shoemaker wearing bow ties and you know slim fit shirts and you know like dress nice, and we was like, yo, Miss Evans, why you dress like why you dress like that? You don't dress like you from North Philly no more. I was like, I still dress like I'm from I'm from North Philly, but like I opened up my repertoire a little bit. I expanded my game. And I always just say like, yo, women like a nice dressed man too. You know what I mean? They was like, it's like, Miss Evans, you don't get no girls. I'm like, all right, I ain't trying to get in personal disclosure. I mean, like, if I wanted to, you know, but I just got into it like just wearing bow ties and it became like this, not an obsession in a sense.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I got over like probably honest number, probably like close to 200 bow ties.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a selection.
Yeah,
you got more bow ties than parallels and any products. Parallels.
It's just something that became a part of me. So like, if you look at my logo on my sports card collector page, like you see me with a bow tie on. You know what I mean? Like, and then also my old head, who's my educator mentor, Mr. Khalid Brown. He wear bow ties. And I remember when I first interviewed for my job, when I came back, I had like, I went through this gradual like progression because I was wearing like clip-on bow ties. And like, he's like, on my interview, he like clowned me. He's like, yo, man, don't tell me that's a clip-on. I was like, yeah. Because at the time, like, that was the gap I had. I didn't know how to really tie a bow tie. So I had to learn. And like, you know, just watching him and learning from him. And then I'm showing my black and brown boys that it's cool to look fly like this. It's cool to dress like this. Yeah. And it's not like dressing white. Like, no, this is swag. This is flavor. And Next thing you know, they become juniors and seniors, and I'm like, yo, Mr. Evans, can you take me bow tie shop?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, Mr. Evans, can you take me to go, get some dress pants? And that's how, like, you plant those seeds. And now
Yeah.
they're coming to school dressed better than me. You know what I mean? Like, like, so it goes beyond that one moment of like prom. Like, no, it becomes who I am, and it's thoroughly like dressed that way. You know what I mean? So
You know what,
try to
Sam?
show them a different way.
I've been trying to make sure every time we do this show that I take something from each person we have on, and like this is the reason why I am who I am today is because every individual who I admire and who I've learned from or had the opportunity to exchange energy, I've been able to take something from them and add it to my tool belt. So I'm gonna make a commitment to my students because I tell you right now, if I just showed up to school dressed up in a bow tie and some slacks, nobody would talk to me. Like
Yeah,
my kids are so used to when they see me in jeans, they don't talk to me. They like, Coach, what's up, bro? Like what you on? Who you working for now? Like what's going on? But
yeah,
because of the impact I know it has, right? And I know it has. I've seen it, and I know you live it, and I've seen it firsthand too. I'm gonna make a commitment myself, even if it's not a bow tie, to somehow, some way show my gentlemen at my school and my community that it's okay to be different and look cool in several different ways.
yeah,
We have an outstanding gentleman up there though, Mr. Blackman, another 6'6" black man in education who dresses up every day. So he's taking that crown, so they get to see, they get to taste of both, the best of both worlds. But
yeah.
same time, so they can see that. I think it'll be just as impactful to see that, and it'll mean something. You know what I mean? So that's just something. That's one thing that I'm gonna take from this conversation and make sure I
And,
add it
then,
to my thing.
and the last part was like being as though I am a black male educator and working in schools that are predominantly black and brown. Like I wanted my boys to like see their self dignity, right?
Yeah.
To take pride in themselves. Like we went through this moment where yeah, they listen to music, they listen to their music, and we had this moment where I was like, yo, I don't want the N word. I don't want to hear the N word in school. Cause I was like, unless you can tell me the history behind that word,
Yep.
everything behind that word, you can't say it.
Yep.
And for a lot of it, it's like, well, Mr. Evans, that's what I am. I am an N word. And I'm like, no, you're not that. You're a king. You know what I mean? You someone of status. You are a learner. You're a scholar. And we had these restorative circles where we was having this conversation about the N word, and got to a point where like we wrestled with that with our boys because like I couldn't ignore the fact that I used to say it a lot, and it was a part of my vernacular and the things that I used to say. And not until I took that deep dive of reading books and learning about the word and exploring the history of the word and knowing that the first black bodies that was brought over here, and not to mention that there was black bodies who was still here who was here before the slave trade that wasn't slaves, but the ones who were brought here, that word was used to demean them and belittle them and degrade them and dehumanize them. And we had these conversations with our boys, and they got to the point where they started to see their self-worth. They started to take pride in how they looked and how they communicated with each other. And it went from a space where our black boys were getting kicked out of class to now they're in class and they're reading books and their reading scores are improving, their math scores are improving. And they're holding themselves to a higher standard and a higher regard. And it was to be a part of that and to see that growth and to see them refer to themselves as something other than an N word. Um, it makes it even more worthwhile to stay in this field as an educator, um, and to know that we can change kids' thought process, mold their thought process, push them to be thinkers, push them to ask questions, push them to question me because I don't know it all either,
Exactly.
and then also learn from them. and don't be afraid to make mistakes in front of them. And that's why I made those conversations so much more meaningful. And you know, that's another reason why I dress the way I dress. But every once in a while, like I'll throw on a hoodie and throw on some jeans and throw on some sneakers. And it was like, oh, I didn't know you was a sneakerhead. I was like, yo, don't be trying to play me, man. Even though you see me in some Cole Hines and some nice dress shoes. I got some sneaker game too. I can throw on a track suit and look fresh. But you know, I just want our boys to know that, you know, and our black girls, that as a people, we're not monoliths. You know, we are a people that help cultivate this world. And whether you want to believe it or not, civilize this world too.
Civilized. Well,
So,
yep. Our last guest that we had on earlier today, Van. He, like I said, he's a professor at Alameda County out here in the Bay Area, and he's a math. He's in math, and he was talking about the Pythagorean.
Pythagorean theorem, yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying how the person who gets credit for that is European based, but that's actually some Egyptian and African. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, people need to know this. The Egyptians, yeah, they created math and all that, and the study of math, and the ancient Greeks. That's what they want to study and learn. And after the fall of Rome, when the Moors civilized Europe for the second time, like they brought all that stuff with them. They taught them that stuff, you know, in the process of rebuilding, you know, what we know as Europe and all those places and parts of Spain and Italy and all that. So like, I mean, that stuff is factual, you know. There's a great book called The Men and Women of Color Before Christ. It's an awesome book, and it talks about, like, you know, famous Moors, you know, Egyptians, you know, people of color, men and women of color who like really help cultivate the world. And you know, they talk about a lot of it is centered around like bringing Europe out of the the Dark Ages, after the fall of Rome, and that 850 year period where, you know, the Moors pretty much civilized that
Taught
part of the
everybody
world.
how to do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm a fan of history. I love history. It teaches us how to understand the world. It teaches us to see our humanity. Because I always say this to people: if you look at periods like that, when the Moors went into Europe and civilized Europe, they had all the resources and the tools to destroy those people, but they decided to cultivate them. They decided to bring their innovation to their humanity, you know, their spirituality, and that's what I think we as a people need to lean more towards, and and stop worrying about what side of the fence we play on in terms of like a faction or a group, and look more into our humanity as a people.
Facts.
You know? I mean, but that's just my 2 cents. What do I know? I'm just a black man trying to learn to grow and become better, and I just so happen to collect cards. Like, you know, so like, you know, yeah, this hobby, coming back to the hobby at this time has been awesome for me, just in my growth as a husband, a father, educator, a person, just being able to like reflect more and explore more, and yeah, I'm super appreciative, man, and I couldn't ask for better people like you, Peter. Brother, what's your name again? I want to make sure I get
Marcus.
it.
Marcus.
Marcus,
Forget
like
Slab. My
Marcus,
name
like,
Marcus. Yeah.
yeah,
Forget the
just to be
nickname.
able to like connect and build bridges, and knowing like I'm here in Philly and y'all on the West Coast, and it's like we all sitting in the same room with each other. You know what I mean? Uh, that's a special thing about this hobby.
Yeah.
I got one more card to show you guys.
Show it. Let's see
Definitely.
it. Let's
So
see it.
this is crazy, right? I got this card, and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna share this card, and I'm a destroy Instagram that the day I share this card, and the day I make my vlog and everything. It was actually on my birthday too. Fucking Instagram shuts down, and
Oh.
nobody could do anything. So that joint was just like sitting in the queue, right? And then when it was all over, it loaded up, and it only got like, and I don't really care about like how many views I got, but it got like, I think it got like 24 or 42 views or something like that.
That's when they started putting the ban on. That's when everybody's accounts really started. There were people
Yeah.
getting shadow banned, but that's when they didn't care who you was. Everybody getting that ban.
And I was like, damn, because I when even if I don't follow somebody, I support everybody.
Yeah.
And I like, if I see a picture of a card I like comment. I like, or if I see something like in terms of like content that's just dope and it speaks to me, like you know, I comment on your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, but I've never seen nobody share this card. And me, like talking about Kobe Bryant, I think is one of his most underrated rookie cards. In my opinion, this is my opinion, I think it's probably beyond his 96 tops.
I think
The base one. Because like, yeah, everybody likes the refractor and everything, but like the base one, I think is like one of his top 3 or top 5 rookie cards. And I don't see nobody talking about it.
Before you show it, why do you think it's top 3?
One, because it's very unique. It's not like any other insert. The material is different. It's not a car. It's not a cardboard. And I just think it's a dope card that captures the mystique of like Kobe. And being someone who's from Philly, right? When Kobe first came back to the States, a lot of people don't know this. He was supposed to go to Simon Gratz and play for Bill Ellaby.
Okay.
And Simon Gratz at the time was a powerhouse. This was like after the era of Rasheed Wallace when he left Simon Gratz. By the way, when Rasheed Wallace was at Simon Gratz, there was a 2-time national high school champion of the year team. They beat everybody in the country. Rasheed Wallace was the best player in the country. He won best player in the country 2 years in a row. And here's a little caveat. The leading scorer of the Simon Gratz team came off the bench.
What?
That's how stacked that team was.
Yeah.
So, but this, when it comes to this Kobe card, like I think it captures everything that we love about Kobe and like his early years as a player, just being fearless, not like when I went to college as a freshman, I wasn't like the one like, I'm like, yo, I'm not copping to that, like I'm a freshman, you get to haze me and all that. No, you're gonna respect me.
Right.
Like we on the court battling. I don't care if you're a senior.
Facts.
I'm from North Philly. I'm gonna get mines, I'm gonna earn
Facts.
mines. And if I take your spot, I'm gonna take your spot. That's what it's about. And like Kobe didn't stick to that script. You know what I mean? Like you talking about the dude who took the four shots against Utah and shot the air balls, you know what I mean? And like came back the next year and lit the league up. You know, but here's the card. I don't think nobody talks about it.
What is that?
That's tops, right?
This is his Topps Youthquake card. It's the insert.
I can't even say I've heard of that or seen that before.
Let me take out the plastic. This is my my favorite Kobe card. I don't see a lot of people.
Hey, I've never seen or heard of that card before.
It's made out of wood.
What? What is it from? It's from Topps what?
It's from 96, 97 Topps.
Damn.
Youthquake. Yeah, it's
Damn.
Right. Okay.
you Quake 15.
Okay.
It's made out of wood.
I'm telling you, I've never seen nobody post this card.
And to be specific, you could only pull those out of series 2. You ain't pulling those out of series 1.
Yeah.
You ain't pulling because I as a '90s collector who used to want to buy stuff from back in the day that I couldn't afford, I made the mistake many times in the recent years of buying Series 1 when I meant to buy Series 2. You know, I like to collect the wax and hold it, keep it sealed. So I always flipped up, and that one, I'll admit, 9697,
Right.
we bought a ton of Series 1. Still made an awesome flip though.
This is my top 5 right here. My top 3. I'll argue with anybody over this card. This card is hard to grade because it's wood.
Wood.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the pop on that?
Yeah.
What you know the pop?
I looked it up. It's a low pop. It's not that many. It's not. There's no 10s. All of it's like everybody's either got the highest is a 9. But I'll look it up. I'll give you the exact stuff because I did look it up when I first got it. But I don't see a lot of people talking about this card. That's my favorite Kobe card.
See, I don't got no. Oh, see, just so happens I have the Jason Kidd card that I didn't accidentally buy, that I bought. I bought instead of buying that Kobe rookie card. I bought the J Kidd. That's because honestly, J Kidd was from the Bay, and I love Topps Finest over Topps and Topps Chrome. I was a Topps Finest. That's the one my dad always said, no, I'm not paying $3 for a pack of cards or $2.50. Go get you some Fleer or some Upper Deck for $1. All right. So when I got older, it's like, man, I want every Topps Finest box sealed up so I can look at it every day.
I remember one day, you posted this drawing. You was like, let's do it for the hobby. Let's go pack for pack. Let's go. You was like, let's go toy for toy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, man. I was looking at my stuff. I was like, I'm about to jump on here and battle Pete.
Yeah.
Then you started pulling out boxes. I said, man, I ain't coming at the throne. I said, I can't do that, man. I said, yo, I embarrassed myself. Like, I was like, we could probably have a battle in vintage. But I was like, yo, this man got box at the box. I was like,
but the battle is for the story though. So it doesn't matter how many cards you have. It doesn't matter what that value is. If you don't have a story to go with it, the card doesn't get a point. You don't win that round.
Hey, they don't call you the Pac-Man for a reason. I ain't coming at the throne, bro. I ain't coming at the throne, man. I'm not doing that, yo. I'm not doing that, yo. I'm not doing it. I salute you, brother. I'm not doing that. That's murder, death, homicide right there. Hold on real quick.
Pack homicide. Nah, you good. You be good. You be good. Anybody, come on, hop on and share. We just sharing the collection and sharing the stories. That's all.
And then, well, I said I was a Moses fan, right?
Black Tux.
And that Black Tux.
Beautiful, man. I got my hands on his rookie card, man. Best day of my life, man.
What? I got some Moseses in the cut. I got some Moseses in the cut in my collection too. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere over there. I for sure got some Moseses in the cut. Let me see if it's first that. Let me see if he in his first that.
74, 75 tops right here. Moses rookie card.
That was it.
Let me see. 74, turn it around. Let me see. Do I get that one?
First high school player to get drafted out of high school.
Oh, this 73. 72, 73.
Dr.
Irvin.
This is his year one insert. Not the rookie, but.
So that's an ABA card. That's not even an NBA card. Huh?
Yep.
Damn. What company did that? That's not Top. It's Topps? Topps did ABA?
Yeah.
That's when Tops had a monopoly, man. That's when they were doing everything, man. And Flair was trying to get them up off that.
I did not know
Look,
that.
Tops had the original monopoly, man.
Wilt, when Wilt retired from the NBA, he went to the ABA, right?
Damn, I didn't know
And he took a job as a player coach, but he couldn't play because he was still on a contract for the NBA. But they still made an ABA card of him.
that is dope as hell.
Are all of them greenback like that, or is that a special one?
I think just I know. So this year was also like Bill Walton's rookie year, I believe, too.
I got that.
I want a Bill Walton rookie card, but I ain't come across that one yet.
You a Bill Walton rookie card?
Yeah.
That's my guy, man.
You brought out the suitcase, the briefcase,
And then so like I said, right? 6 degrees of separation, right? My uncle, who I'm related to through marriage, right? Mm-hmm. Gene Banks, he played for Duke back in the day. Went to West Philadelphia High School, one of the top players. He was the first McDonald's All-American come out of the city of Philadelphia. He was George Gervin's teammate. They played on the Spurs together. My uncle, he dropped 44 against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
Damn.
But like, this George Gervin card is special because, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
here's another crazy story.
That's what's so dope, because it's like, if you never would have said that, I would have never knew that your uncle dropped 44. It's like that's another aspect of the value of these cards.
This him when he played for the Bulls.
I damn near remember that card. I damn near remember that card. Right, we got that card somewhere around here.
And that's an auto right there. But my man Wilt, here's some of my favorite Wilt cards. I got this one. I also got it graded.
What year is that?
This is his 71, 70. This is 73 tops, 72, 73 tops. So this is like when he like retired, pretty much.
It's just something about the look of those older Tops cards. I don't know. Those older Tops basketball cards.
Love this card. This one's like really good, like really perfectly centered almost.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting this in a black tux though.
I'll look nice in the black tux with that border. What's that?
This is from the Stars series.
Oh.
Then I got a little throwback. This a reprint with the coat on it. Then I'm sending this in for grading. This is his anniversary rookie card.
Ooh. Oh. What year was that out of?
Gold.
That look
24 karat gold.
Damn.
Sheesh. Like I'm over here getting lost in the sauce, looking through this stuff. Let me put this away. Let me put this away, man. Man, Sam, man, it's been a blast, brother. It's we going on 90 minutes. We can keep going forever.
I was looking at that, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Keep going we definitely gonna have to run this back, though. We definitely gonna have to run this back.
One more card.
Go get it. Go get it. And then that gives me more time to look through my collection.
Yeah, I want to say thank you, Sam, man, because me, the point I am in my life, man, I'm at the point where I see value in everybody. I believe I can learn something from everybody. And you blessed us so much today with so much knowledge, bro, so much history. Much memories, bro. So appreciate you, bro. For real.
I definitely gotta follow you on the gram, yo. I gotta hit you up on the gram and follow you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bro. Back at you.
So remember we talked about Jackie.
Oh, Slab almost bought that. You almost cleared out Jim, our local car shop guy.
Yeah.
Back then he was probably selling them for like 50 cents.
So talking about a story, right?
Yeah.
And this is an authentic Jackie Robinson card. I'm sitting in my lab, and this is like around like my infancy moment when I just got back in the hobby. And right, like speaking things into existence. And I'm looking at my cards, and I said, I got my bucket list. Like, I said, man, I would love a Jackie Robinson card. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I was like, I want the 54. And
why the 54?
Because this is like his most sought after card because it's the first card that has his face on it. Because you look at the previous years, all his cards look like they were like artist cards almost.
Okay,
so, like, from his rookie on up to this one. So I'm like scrolling through Facebook, and it was this estate sale. This kid posted this card, and he was like, my great uncle just passed away, and he gave me his collection. And I'm not a collector, and I just want to like sell this to someone who would appreciate it. So I just started like messaging, and we had a correspondence, and he was like, yeah, I want to sell you the card. And I was like, how much you want to sell it to me for? I'm thinking he's going to charge me an arm and a leg. He was like, 160. I was like, for Jackie Robinson? It's like, yeah, I'll take it. I was like, you sure? He was like, yeah. And got it authenticated. And I was just like, man, talk about like speaking things into existence. Like,
for real.
Look how beautiful this card is.
Yeah, to be a 1954 car, that's in great condition.
I mean, it got a stain on the back, but like,
damn, that'd be dope if you knew the story behind that stain. That's what I'd be thinking about the
vintage
cards. Like, I want to know the story behind them wounds. Them wounds, like, yeah, the war wounds. What happened?
Beautiful,
was it
beautiful card, man.
Was it was it Ovaltine? You drink your Ovaltine? Somebody dropped some Ovaltine on that thing.
But like, I mean, everybody got their list. Like, I mean, I got this one. I want the Wilt rookie, and then, I mean, everybody want an 86 like Flair Jordan, but I doubt I ever get one of those cards. But I'm still holding out hope.
Man, you gotta put it out there. You gotta put it out to the universe.
Yeah, I'm still holding out hope, man. But yo, if you ever come across a Bill Walton rookie, hit me up, man. I need that.
Bill, I got you. I got you. I know I got one. I know I have a Bill Walton.
I need to add that to my collection because I got this collection of like my top rookies from like the 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm missing him, Pistol Pete. But I don't think they make a smaller card of Pistol Pete. I think his was the big tops.
That long.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time back in like 2015, 16 where I just wanted one rookie card or card from every Hall of Famer. So I, went online, printed out. I still got the book here, printed out, wasted heck of paper. I could have just kept on going online, but I printed out every single card, every page, every that I wanted, and I had a checklist of what I wanted. Look at that, another one.
And this is one one of two that I have. I have the whole 96 set.
Okay.
But this is my favorite one. This is my favorite like one besides the Youthquake one.
Why?
Because like this is like the young Kobe, you know what I mean? Like nobody knows what's gonna happen with this dude, right? You know what I mean? Coming fresh out of high school, getting traded to the Lakers, like, and it's like technically this is like his freshman year in college in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like it captures like his charisma, his smile, but like underneath it all, like Kobe was a beast, man. And like from the dunk contest on, you know what I mean? Like he was giving it to everybody. He's giving
Yeah.
it to everybody.
Yeah.
That mentality,
Yeah, Mamba mentality was
like
something
none
Yeah.
other.
else.
Yep, that
Yeah.
mind, that mind.
Here's an underrated card of him.
Uh,
That's from the scoreboard set.
See that SB up there, old school scoreboard.
That's an underrated card.
I like my favorite Kobe underrated card. I don't have it. I have the wax though. I have it in the box. It's the Pacific, the blue prism parallel. Prism with an
Leola.
S. Yeah, he still got the little Leola uniform on. That's my
Isn't
favorite.
that one of Kobe's most rarest
I
cards?
think it's the
Yeah.
most short printed card.
Yeah.
It got to be the most short printed Kobe rookie card or something like that for sure. I've seen it once online, like on a video,
Yeah.
I think, but I haven't seen it at a card show yet. I didn't see it at
Yeah.
National. I was looking, but I wasn't looking my hardest, so it could have been there, but I haven't seen it in any card show yet.
So y'all going to nationals in Atlantic City?
Atlantic
Uh,
City.
you want me to be all the way honest with you, since we honest and we've been this platform.
Yeah.
So the way Rip Pack and Slab work, right, is because what we offer is entertainment, engagement, and experience. National ones, and I don't know. It's up to them. They know to be very clear and vocal. If National wants to get us there and give us an opportunity to experience, engage, and involve the children, the women, and people of all walks of life onto this and just if they want that, then they'll get us there in the same breath that one meant, the kind people that one meant. Shout out Alex and
Yeah.
Louise specifically for doing what they had to do to make sure RPS was represented in some shape, form, or fashion. And I think it's the first time I've ever seen color being blasted and people paying to sponsor a person of
Yeah.
color like that on a show. They didn't have to do it themselves. Yeah, so national. Hopefully they do, but if not, we went to the last national because it was a bucket list type of experience. We did have a
Yeah.
lot of business there too. We were invited to a lot of events and dinners that we didn't want to let a lot of people down. So we
Yeah.
showed up to that. But our value now on what we do specifically and what we're trying to do for the hobby, there
Yeah.
has to be there has to be some kind of compensation and some
No, I agree.
placed on that for sure, because that's what we want for other people who are going to follow in our footsteps, and we want the hobby to cross over into genres and into markets that wouldn't be able to cross over unless more people continue to place value in these areas. You know what I mean? So that's why we
No,
want
I
to
agree.
give more at the same
Agree.
time too. And we have a package deal for people. Like I said, it's not just us hopping on stage. We can actually make sure every kid there and women there, whether they're engaged, like the hobby or not, bet they leave with a smile. Bet they
Yeah.
want to come back next year.
Memory.
Yeah, they're not going to be. I've been to many card shows and I see women just chilling in the hallway, bored. Like, when are you coming outside? It's time to go.
Yeah.
Now there are a lot of women. There are a lot of women who are there who love the hobby too. But
Yeah.
those soldiers who are there just because they man love the hobby and they waiting in the hallway with their kids, and you know how that be. We leaving our
Yeah.
wives inside with the kids now, so we know we gonna hear it when we get back.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
a remedy for that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what we do. That's what we do. We got people who make people feel included and valued, and then want to come and see what you got to do. So I would love, man. Who knows? We'll see. National know what they got to do. Send the bag, send the check, send the contract, and we'll be
Well,
there.
I definitely want to break bread one day, man.
Oh,
It will
definitely.
happen.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I put it to you like this, and there's no secret. If we are not at the national, it doesn't mean we won't be in Atlantic City putting on our own thing.
Yeah.
They can't stop us from throwing a concert across the street and telling the hobby, hey, they either gonna enjoy us and embrace us with open arms, or we're gonna move in next door like Kanye.
That's what I appreciate about RPS the most, man. And like the hobby needs to be inclusive, right?
Yeah.
And I go back to that story of like when we got to Penn Treaty, the hobby became that melting pot, and that human capital we had with kids who didn't look like us, who wanted our cards, who wanted to trade with us, and then also like, yo, jump on this hockey, flow with us. And you know, if you are a collector and you don't embrace that, then something's wrong with you. You missing out. If you have a card show and you're not reaching out to collect collectors, black collectors, to be vendors at your show, something is wrong with you. And
Shout out Prism
you
God,
know,
Culture Collision Card Show in
yeah.
Atlanta.
I met him at the Philly show.
Shout out Prism God. Always give
So
flowers where flowers is due. He's been setting
dope,
he's been
man. He's
setting the
dope.
brick down in the foundation. You know what I mean?
Yo,
Everybody got
like,
their lanes and their levels, what they do in the hobby. But Prism God has been the real stepping with the best of them. And he doesn't get his flowers. I don't care. I'm gonna
yo,
get the man.
yo,
Don't get his
he's a
flowers, man. He
yo,
don't. I'm sorry. He
yo,
he
Pete,
don't.
Pete, he's a dope dude. So like, he was at the Philly show at Valley Forge, and I'm walking through, and I'm like, damn, am I the only black person in here? Then I saw a couple of like black collectors walking through buying stuff, and then I'm looking like, damn, ain't no black vendors in here. So I come up on him and his bulls. They just sitting at this small little table, and they haven't. And it took me back to that
Shout
moment,
out
man,
Wiz.
like
Shout
being
out
in
Flip.
North
Yeah.
Philly, the way they conducted themselves, and that hand-to-hand exchange, that conversation, that culture, that moment, like really
Hey,
connecting with collectors. And
they
like I
really
walked
do
up
it.
to
They
him,
really do it. They
yeah,
drive,
like I
fly. They
walked
at
up
a
to him and
different
like
show every weekend, man. They really do it.
I'm a nobody, right? I'm a nobody. I walked up to him, introduced myself, and like he shake my hand. We just start busting it up, and he like, yeah, hit me up on the gram. He's like, I'll follow you and everything. And then I start to see like, yo, this dude's really somebody in the hobby, and like he brings people together. And yeah, I got nothing but respect for him, man. Got nothing but respect for him. I'm definitely gonna buy a card off of him one day.
Yeah, one day for
Definitely gonna
sure, for
buy a
sure.
card off of him one day.
I
But
got Wiz hopping on the show tomorrow. I believe we got Wiz tomorrow evening. Uh, Wiz a part of the whole crew too, and Wiz on the up and coming too, man. It's just good to see us in the hobby because similar when we first jumped in the hobby, we were big on just minority in any sense, right? The people of
yeah,
color, a woman, children,
yeah,
or maybe even what you collect. Sometimes being a vintage collector can put you in that minority spot,
yeah,
right? So we were
yeah.
all about just making sure minorities had a voice all together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to see where we are now and just I remember women would always say, not always, but sometimes we'd be in these rooms and women would say, well, you know what, Pete, sometimes we don't need people to we can carry the torch. We just got
Yeah,
people just got to know we here because we here and we can do it. They're fully capable. The women, the men, children, they can carry their own load. They just need that real estate and that platform so people know that they here and they exist. And Wiz, man, I don't even think we were rapping yet. Oh yeah, we of course we were rapping the music, but nobody knew who we were. We just saw another
yeah,
brother at a show, and he always time me on the shoulder, turn me around, and ask me how I'm doing, and then keep it pushing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
shout out to Wiz for just
Well,
always having that genuine, that human capital. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, I want to give my flowers to y'all because when I got back into the hobby and I was posting my stuff on Instagram, I ain't see anybody that looked like me. And I mean, I got discouraged in a sense. Like I said to you before we jumped on live, like when I first saw you,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, who's this dude? Like, is this really who he is? And this is what he's about. And as I started to peel back those layers and break down my own boundaries, because at times like we as black men, like we have that defense mechanism at first. And like we gotta
Oh
start
yeah.
having
Oh yeah.
conversations about that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and like I had to break down my defense mechanism. Like, no, let me figure out who this dude is. And I'll never forget, man, when I followed you, you opened me a world to like so many other like black collectors and women collectors and the people that you follow. I follow them simply off the strength of you and just I got nothing but respect for RPS, man, and everything that you guys do, and I hold you guys in high regard, and you guys are my goats. You're my goats in a hobby, and I mean that with nothing but admiration and love and respect and dignity. So appreciate you, man.
Man, right back at you. We appreciate you, and we mean it. We're nothing. At first, when we started this, we be not Rip, Pack, and Slab, Marcus, Peter, and Javid. We started this for us. Literally, it was a pandemic. We were literally in 3 different households making music and content, and it was a way for us to stay engaged and have fun. And it was therapy. It was
Yeah,
therapeutic, but it was
yeah,
for us. We said, you know what? We don't care if as long as we laugh, because Javid
yeah.
played in the NFL, right? But he didn't rip a pack of cards till his rookie year. So he
Wow.
didn't know what he was signing until 2020, until our comedy content made him want to look more into the cards he was signing and more on investing, because he's a big time investor
Yeah,
on many different markets, right? So it made it appealing to him. And then now he's been 10 toes down ever since. You know what I mean? So it's big being able to just connect with different people, bro, because now we don't just do it for ourselves, we do it for everybody. And
yeah,
the energy that people, the time people take to share kind words, to reach out in DMs, that keeps us going. You know what
yeah,
I mean? We literally, Slab and I wanted to make one comedy song about the hobby, and that's it. Go back to just
yeah,
making skits and doing
yeah.
that. And Job said, nah, with the music, man, we can really hit more ears and more people, as well as with the comedy and those things. You know what I mean? And
Well,
it,
every reel I do, every Friday night light reel I do is going to RPS, man. Like I
love.
rep the music.
Man. Appreciate that.
I got y'all on my iTunes list. So like, I mean, my favorite drawing is Pack for Pack. That's my
Okay.
drawing. I like the intro. I like how that drawing come on. And like that's just that's one of my favorite songs right there. I mean, and then
You got
obviously I like Who Do You Collect? Like, I mean that's the anthem right there. Like, I mean, it gets no better than that one, man. It gets no better than that one. So
that's all Rip.
no,
Rip Hamiltops is the hook king.
Hook master.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for allowing me to be on your platform to share some stories, to talk about the things that I do in my life, to talk about how important the hobby is to me. And again, I'm just trying to leave a piece, leave a piece of myself in this world to put a smile on somebody's face.
Man, definitely, man. Well, let's learn and do that together in any capacity that we can. Thank you for the love that you spread to my school community. I know you sent over some things, you know what I mean? So thank you for taking the time to do that. If there's ever a way that we can help you out, you know what I mean? We're always gonna pray and send that energy your way for sure, for sure. You can
Yeah,
always count on that. But if there's anything else we can do, if we got it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
that's just the beauty about building a community. We look forward to doing a whole lot of things together. This is not going to be our last time on here, bro. We can't. It's been
yeah,
2 hours, and we still have probably about 48,000 more hours worth of stuff that we can break down and really get into. But we
yeah,
gonna let that happen organically, and we also gonna plan behind it so we can give people maybe some real history and education on some of these cards, and really
yeah,
I feel like since we're both educators and there's other educators, we can put something together in a way that'll really
yeah,
connect for the hobby and leave something here forever that'll live longer than us, that people can learn from. You know what I mean? And use as a guide just for themselves, not even
yeah,
deeper than monetary. Y'all
yeah,
got some album covers. We got the joy of
yeah.
collecting, deeper than monetary. I'm about to write
Yeah.
all these album names down. I'm about to drop an album tonight, man.
Marcus, also I appreciate you too, man, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you on the gram and building with you as well, man. And
Definitely.
thank you, man. Thank you for the questions. Thank you just for your time, man. And this has been fruitful, man. It's a good way to bring in the new year. So I'm happy, man.
Definitely, man. Right back at you. It's appreciated. I love knowledge. I love listening. You know what I'm saying? I love listening to people's stories. You learn a lot just about humans just by listening.
Yeah,
So I'm in the point in my life where I'm just listening. I love all the knowledge you share with us, all the stories. I really appreciate it. For real, appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year to you and yours.
Yeah.
Man, many blessings. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Wishing you the best. Hey, I'm happy we got this. We didn't want to wait till 2022 to start this. I'm happy we got this out the way going into the new year.
Start it off right.
Start it off, get it going. Yeah, in the direction we want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
great note.
We know we definitely gonna connect again on the DMs and then the text
Yeah.
messages and things like that. Man, thank you everybody for tuning in. There's been some people here for the
thank
whole
you.
2 hours. Pepino man been
appreciate
locked in.
y'all.
Mike
Yeah.
Jones, what's up? Cardboard Culture, what's up? Amit, Ken, what's up? We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Who else dropped by in this thing? There's a few people. Joe, thank you, Joe, for stopping by and sharing your insight. Man, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Man, look forward to seeing more Sports Card Collector. Make sure y'all following him on the IGs and things. Is there anybody else you want to shout out or give flowers to before we get out of here?
I definitely want to shout out all the folks who are actually like making car art. I know Donnie B, Car Killer, Wavy, all those folks, man. Those dudes are a true inspiration. I actually bought a Jordan art card. So yeah, I just want to shout out that community. Just another way of expanding the hobby. At first I didn't understand it, but now that I do, modern baseball art. He's another one who makes cards. I've sent him some cards. So just shout out to that community and what they do and how they just expand in this beautiful thing that we love and we call a hobby. Yeah, man, those guys are dope.
That's Card Killer special right there. That RPS hat
That's
made
dope.
with them top chrome refractors. You feel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
dope.
Card, shout out to Card artists for real.
Yeah.
Yep, all of them for real.
But again, like if you don't follow me, I encourage you to follow the hobby experience. You won't be let down by the stories. You won't be let down by the passion and the nostalgia. So just keep collecting and enjoy the, enjoy the hobby.
Enjoy the hobby. And it's crazy. Every time It's crazy. Every time so far that I've had a black collector on, we've had a black collector on right about an hour and a half. Say we go off, and then like a Jodeci concert, we just keep on, we just keep on going and finding more and more. But that's just how it be, though, right? I was on with Joe from Pull My Card, and he was like, "Man, yeah, whenever we leave in the function, we gotta hug the family members 10 different times, say bye 4 different times." I'm like, man, that's
how to love it,
yeah.
Don't want to leave it.
That's
That
how we
human
do it,
capital.
man.
That human capital, man. That's what we want. We miss it and we need it. That energy, man. It's crazy because we're trying to imitate what we do in reality if we were in front of each other, but nothing could imitate that. So we're just trying our hardest to make sure that that energy and that love is given. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all it is.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all of you guys. My love. Send my love to your families. Everybody be safe. Have a good New Year's. Enjoy yourselves. And yeah, man, let's keep building.
Yep. All right, y'all. Peace. All right, Sam, I'll check you out, brother.
All right, brothers.
Happy New Year. Yeah,
Happy New Year.
Y'all.
Music available on all streaming platforms. I forgot to say that. I haven't said that yet. I haven't been pubbing us as much as I should be pubbing us. Go get the music. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe, but go get the music, though. It's free. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.